Hey everybody, before we get started, I just remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Adam DeHarp, Iko Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, some guy named Bob, Sodasun0424, Cyber23, Video Gamer 75, and Zach Reed. If you like what you do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. Somebody helps us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, doing just like I said in my Legion video on Clan Ren, which you should watch if you haven't. We'll talk about those. But Fantasy Flight just did their in-flight report online, streamed, because there's no Gencon this year. I think they streamed it last year, but they did it from home, basically. Gencon Online stuff. They talk about a lot of stuff. Some stuff we won't be talking about here. Some stuff we will. But I said I'd do a video on it, and these types of videos usually do pretty good. So let's cover the Gencon FFG in-flight report, starting with the slide you see on screen already. I figured I'd start with probably one of their bigger bits of news. It was announced, obviously, but we've been waiting for hard and fast details, and lots of the other stuff was spoiled, so anyway. This is something I think people will be pretty enthusiastic about, which is Clone Wars Armada. You can look at the sculpts, you can look at the packs, you can see the prices, you can see the release date. The intent is to release December 2020. Probably would have aimed for a little bit earlier, but because of the thing, they're not. Please be very understanding about the thing. I know a lot of people are, especially, I know Gen Con announcements are usually like a little too far ahead for comfort, but still, please understand that a lot of releases have been pushed back 2 or 3 months because of this stuff. So, like, it's not their fault for once, okay? There's kind of a global thing going on. Anyway, I've preached enough about that. Armada. So, I don't play Armada. I'd love to have time and money to do it, but I don't, because Armada is a little bit more expensive. You'll notice some of those price points. But it's a cool game in concept, and I like it a lot. I just don't have time to play or anything. But, we're doing 2 separate, no single faction starter, or rather, no 2-faction starter. Doing individual starters. Fleet starters are both about $100. But you do get 3 ships each out of that, and presumably various upgrades and stuff. The Republic one will be Acclimator and 2 Consulars, and the Separatist one will be 1 Munificent and 2 Hard Cell Transports. Actually, a lot of people thought that would happen, but also I am pretty shocked about that, because the Hard Cell is kind of a derpy little thing. Yes, in the quote-unquote launch wave, there's no cool shit yet. There's no, is it Recusant? There's no Invisible Hand. They'll make an Invisible Hand standalone pack. There's no Venators. They're not yet re-releasing stuff like the Pelta and the CR90. So you don't have all your options yet, but you got a few. There will also be squadron packs for both and an upgrade card collection, so you don't need to necessarily have a backlog if you're jumping into Armada the first time for Clone Wars. This is what they did with the Clone Wars stuff for Star Wars Legion, and kind of what they've done with X-Wing. The X-Wing upgrade packs or card-only packs are a little bit different. But these are full-blown, just straight up, hey, here's all your upgrade cards and generic shit you need. There also will be dial packs for these factions. Seems pretty neat. Don't know much about the details. I had some of the stuff around here, but I should point out, I missed this earlier in my brief intro, all this stuff is VOD on YouTube. It was on Twitch, and it's on their YouTube channel. You can dig it up, but both the presentations are like 40 minutes or more. So hopefully this will be shorter than that. And if it's not, please hit me. But yeah, I think that's everything about the Armada stuff. If you're going to stay tuned for Legion, you're going to be waiting a little bit. I'm going to cycle through the X-Wing stuff really fast, even though I don't really cover X-Wing anymore. And then we'll talk about some RPG stuff on the back end. But yeah, so Clone Wars Armada looks cool, like the sculpts. Going to be very interested to see what order they release stuff and what ships they do. And learn more as it comes out. Release December 2020. Let's move on. Alright, so X-Wing stuff really quick. Because I won't smack too much on it, but I kind of fell out with the way the X-Wing community is. But I still think X-Wing is a cool game. Anyway, so the first up is they're adding some extra stuff to whatever wave we're on. I forgot already. But basically, the last batch of releases were announced way back in January for the, is it She-Class shuttle? Z-Class? I think it's Z-Class. The LAAT and the HMP gunships. And now, as you can see on this slide, we have additional factors for that wave. They will be releasing in October. A lot of people have been talking about it. A lot of people have been asking for it. Here it is, TIE RB Heavy Expansion. So the TIE Brute, or Heavy TIE, will actually be in there. There'll be a new expansion, the one from Solo. A lot of people have been asking for it. It's got some canon stuff. It's going to do some other stuff. They've said it will include new TIE-specific upgrades and modifications, so hopefully give the Imperials some flair and get some of their fun TIE-only action back, build some TIE synergy, and also it's got a big stonking gun. Scope looks pretty neat, too. The other thing is the Heralds of Hope Squadron Pack. So, this is basically the probably license-mandated Rise of Skywalker, tie-in. They've got 2 alternate paint jobs for T-70s and 1 alternate paint job for the RZ-2 A-Wing. It's going to include pilots and characters and other shenanigans from Rise of Skywalker and kind of round out that era, those movies. I believe this was probably the codename Project Continental or whatever secret release people were debating about that was on the scope. Actually, I just realized I was looking at it. I'm like, actually, that's a pretty good. I know that the RB does involve a little bit more plastic because it is a big boy, but man, it's interesting. I'm just looking at the price comparison. It seems like it's pretty fairly priced, at least. I'm not really much an expert in that, but again, this seems like it's going to be kind of a... Besides the fact that it's returning FFG to doing alternate color schemes, they have kind of said that they were open to that, but not necessarily that would be a big thing, but this is just, they're doing this to catch up, and I guess it gives them an opportunity to actually do some of these alt colors rather than just do card-related packs, which they've done in the past for some stuff. It's interesting. And I guess the Resistance definitely, the alt color schemes is definitely their kind of thing. They have a lot of lack of unity in their design scheme. And that's that first bit of X-Wing. Alrighty, so the next bit is they've basically announced the next wave of releases. Again, weighing heavily towards the Clone Wars, but some factions need to catch up. And also these are newish minis. So there's one bigger box, big boy. I think it's medium, actually, technically. But they're going to do Jango Fett Slave 1 for the Separatists. Slightly different color scheme. Going to do some Separatist stuff. They're going to do the Droid Tri-Fighter, and then the Nimbus-class V-Wing, and the Eta-2 Actus, which comes with a hyperspace ring, which will be an upgrade you can equip, they've said. And it will actually fit on the Aether Sprite, Eta-2, and Nimbus-class chassis, interestingly enough. So you can actually deploy them that way. And I'm assuming it's going to be like a turn 0, like, ooh, I'm going to hyperspace in kind of beeple-boople. Otherwise, you can't get too much detail out of this broad spread, but I didn't want like 5 million slides and screen caps. But maybe watch the VOD after this if you want to know more. The sculpts are really beautiful and really great. Like, I could see buying that Eta-2 Actus just to keep it on my fucking mantle. So nice and smooth. Nice bright red colors, good lines. So yeah, that'll be interesting. 2 pretty cool ships for both sides getting in there. And gosh, those droid tri-fighters are super small. A lot of people have been asking about that. But all of the sculpts look pretty good. It's pretty interesting keeping on the Clone Wars track. Getting a lot of those big releases out. It's pretty interesting. And that'll be releasing in November of 2020, as you can see on this. That's about it for X-Wing. Let's spend a little bit more time talking about Legion. Alrighty, first up. These were spoiled, so there is shockingly less anticipation and excitement for them. It's like it's FFG's fault their releases got leaked early and stuff, and that you paid attention to them. I don't know, whatever. I have thoughts and feelings about how entitled people are about stuff. Little plastic toys. But yay, here they are. Anakin Skywalker Commander expansion and Darth Maul and Sith Probroids Operative expansion. These were leaked, yes, so everybody's known they've been coming, but it's been pretty interesting to see. Looks like they're going to include some new Force powers. The probe droids actually look like they're going to be maybe like a detachment or something. They're marked as special forces, right? So they aren't counterpart units necessarily. They don't just tack on, so they're a separate unit that can come with him. That's why he's slightly more expensive, because he's got like 3 of those little ball fucks in there, and we'll have an additional unit card. Anakin's got some different options. They've talked about this with the hard plastic. You got a lot more finite facial features. Like Maul's facial markings are apparently slightly etched into the plastic, so they're easier to paint. Anakin has a couple of different head and a couple of different arm options, so you can do different lightsaber poses. Saber back, saber forward, kind of stuff you like. It's fun to see that customization. It'll be interesting to see. They did show off what command cards they're supposed to have, which is pretty funny. Because, let me see if I can track them down. But one of Anakin's is, this is where the fun begins. What was his other one? I'll scroll and find it. Hold on, I gotta find those little images. Okay. This is where the fun begins. You underestimate my power, and then I think it's Hero of the Clone Wars. It's not the Man Without Fear, but it's cool. His subtitle is The Chosen One. Looks like there's a couple of new force power stuff in there. He's got one upgrade that discards, and one that taps at least. It's interesting to see. And Maul is interesting because it looks like he has 2 1-pips. Duel of the Fates, The Phantom Menace, and At Last is his second 1-pip. So that's going to be interesting to see those articles. Expect real articles announcing some of this stuff soon. It's pretty cool. But yeah, they'll be really interesting to see where they're going with this. We'll need full articles for spoilers. I know a lot of people want Anakin, but I personally agree that like making sure that we were we had the faction decently kind of distinguished, right? Before we just included yet another Anakin Skywalker, or at least another Skywalker, because you got Luke, you got 2 Lukes actually, you got 2 Vaders. It'll be kind of interesting to see where Anakin falls on that scope as the chosen one of the Clone Wars, but we've done some slightly different things, but I bet he'll be an interesting combo piece. No word on Ahsoka yet, obviously, but here it is. And then Maul will obviously be really interesting as another operative with some different stuff, and whatever those probe droids do, they'll probably add a little bit more to the shiftiness. Oh, but how will you afford this, Separatist players say? Well, I'm glad you asked. I think we're done discussing Anakin and Darth Maul, because, like I said, they were spoiled, they were leaked, so there's no real super depth to go in there until we get full articles to talk about them, but look forward to future videos on Legion. Let's go talk about the other announcement we got. So, huzzah, they also announced Republic and Separatist Specialist packs. So, these are slated for January 2021. I know a lot of people are kind of sassy about that. I still think that we should, give them a modicum of respect. As somebody put it on the forums, entire companies have folded during this global pandemic crisis. So it's good that they're still producing stuff and getting out there. And honestly, I'm kind of excited. One, these miniatures all look great. But they will definitely add some much-needed spice and flavor to the factions. Separatists will finally get their cheap commander option. The T-Series Tactical Droid will be available as a commander and as a unit ad. Looking good with his binocs there. And, well, let's run it through really quick. Okay, so the Separatist one's the only one that's really weird. They have the T-Series Tactical Droid, obviously. They have a Worker Droid who can repair your other droids and vehicles. I'm going to guess he's probably going to be pretty expensive, but whatever. There's a medical droid, which looks like Grievous's Dr. Man, which makes sense for your commanders and operatives, mostly, until at least they get some organics that I expect will be cheaper, but probably more annoying. And then they will have a Viper probe droid as a addition to a unit, because droids already come with comm slots. They don't need a comm specialist, so they get a probe droid instead who can kind of do some spotting stuff and look around for your unit and maybe help them. It'd be really interesting to see how that guy breaks out and what he's got going on there. And we do know these will come with 3 new generic command cards, which will do different stuff. It's going to be very interesting to see. The names for the Separatist ones are Mechanized Incursion, Orbital Strike, and Roger Roger. Spoilers for the Clone one I'm going to talk about in a second, but their 2-pip is also air support. So it does look like both factions will be getting a generic command card that includes a long-range attack like Veers and Leia, because we don't have... They're not, and I doubt they will get commanders who do that kind of thing anytime soon. So the generics will apparently get that access, which is pretty cool. No idea yet what Mechanized Incursion or Roger Roger will do. But hopefully they got some vehicle support in there somewhere. Big vehicles, got some other stuff. We'll see later when we get spoilers. Might be a little bit, we don't know. But very nice, interesting sculpts. As mentioned in the stream, there is actually, visual diversity here, right? These guys are all still droids, but they all look very different. Like, the Worker droid has a very different look to the medical droid, to the tactical droid, and then there's the probe droid. It'll be very visually distinct. And then for clones, they've got a couple of different poses. There will be a generic clone commander. There will be 3 command cards. Looks like Synchronized Offensive, Air Support, and Attack of the Clones. Great command card name, by the way. There will be a generic clone commander. There will be a clone medic, clone engineer, and a clone's comms tech. Based on the images we've seen and the talk about this, they will have multiple head options, so they should have Phase 1, Phase 2, and no helmet looks. And the commander can hold a little hologram up. Got a lot of different looks for them, so they can stack in anywhere, and you can get another cheap commander. I expect he will be probably a budget version of Captain Rex. But still a good look. The minis all look really good. Love the clones, the engineer-style armor on that guy, giving me some old-school Battlefront flashbacks. The medic looks pretty good, too. He's got the pack and stuff. And I think he's got the haircut of... Oh, shoot, I've forgotten his name. But the medic from the Clone Wars TV show. I think that But who knows? Maybe the heads are generic. You can move them around. But they've got some multiple hairstyles for the heads in this pack. So that should give you a couple of options. Clones will probably really like the medic or the comms tech, but the commander will be really interesting to see because clones are also a pretty expensive army, right? They need it because they may need space for more units and operatives. Separatists need a cheap commander because they need the ability to not completely spend all their money on Grievous Dooku lists, right? Money, quote unquote. But still, like the look of this. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of stuff we get. Looks like it's going to come with a few different little thingy-doos, some upgrades, besides just the personnel ones. It'll be really interesting to see. A little shame about the timescale, but I'm sure spoilers will hit us first so you can start playtesting at home. And overall, really like the look of these. Okay. That's it, I think, for Legion. But we're not done with the video yet. So before we move on to the final stuff, I want to talk about final couple of things. First, let's mention the stuff I don't really much care about, but you might. They mentioned a lot of new Keyforge stuff, continuing releases for Lord of the Rings stuff, Arkham Horror, that's all still on there. You can check out the VOD if you're interested in that stuff. I just don't personally follow those games. There are more releases for the L5R card game. I just don't have time to play that either. But there's all that kind of stuff. And then the big one for me is, this was coming around the rumor reel a while ago, the playtest and rumor bin, but they announced the final Fantasy Flight L5R RPG project, which will be Fields of Victory, a Lion Clan and Warfare book. Who could have guessed? It will include expanded mass combat rules. Who could have guessed? Yeah, sorry about the slight sarcasm there, but it's, especially once this one was rumored for a while, with the Phoenix one coming out of nowhere, I kind of personally expected a lot of this stuff in there. There'll be new weapons, new schools, all the usual expansion pack stuff. We'll hopefully get some more detail on what kind of options there are when they actually do a formal announcement. There will be an accompanying adventure, Blood of the Lioness. I'm interested in this one for the extra mass combat stuff if I ever want to do that, and some other things going on. Also, it was confirmed, I believe, on a separate stream, on the Edge stream, which we'll talk a little bit about that later. They did a lot of Q&A, but it was confirmed that Badger Clan is going to be the clan in here, which is a little interesting because they are not directly related to Lion, but they are kind of militant and defensive, so it'll be interesting to see what they got going on. But yeah, I'm super interested in this book. Still waiting for releases. Like, this isn't going to come out until March 2021. I'm assuming that's because there was a lot of snafu, and also since the RPG department no longer works all the way in-house, there's probably a lot of like freelancing and space needed for editing and stuff. Luckily, this isn't as important for me because of the other thing, but we'll see what's going on there. But speaking of Edge, they are apparently lined up on their first product. They had a stream too, which is now on a VOD. I won't go through the whole thing. There's a lot less visual cues. It's a lot more just sitting with Sam Stewart, which he was the previous RPG head at FFG. When they cut the department, he was let go from that position, and everybody was laid off. But then Edge Studio, which Asmodee set up to handle all their RPG imprints, hired him back again as their head of RPG stuff. So, as I and lots of other people expected, Edge is basically just literally rebranding. They are moving most of the lower down staff to freelancer positions for their game lines. Maybe they'll hire some new freelancers. They've got a couple of the old guys back as exec stuff directing it. So a lot of the creative vision will be the same. Probably a lot of the writing style will be the same. Just a different companies handling the releases. It looks better to Asmodee in a budget concern, and means that kind of like they can keep all this stuff separate and focus down on what works for every company. And hopefully this does mean that maybe this stuff can get a little more streamlined in the future because, Edge is only focusing on RPG releases, and FFG is only focusing on miniature releases. I would, for one, hope that, because they have talked about trying to improve some stuff, I, for one, hope that they get better about PDF turnarounds, because Edge is separate from Fantasy Flight. I mean, they're still owned by the same parent company, but they don't need to build that kind of relationship with game stores that Fantasy Flight does because of OP. So I'm hoping that means they can get PDFs out a little bit faster. We can flow on that and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. But Edge has already said, there's no visual, but they've said, both in an interview and on the stream, they've already planned their next L5R book. Because a lot of people were like, oh, wasn't there a rumor about a dragon book? Wouldn't that be correct next, like alphabetically in terms of the clans? Well, it turns out, yeah, because Edge is going to release Writ of the Wilds, which will be the Dragon Clan book. There will be an accompanying adventure. The Dragonfly will be the minor clan in that book. I don't remember the exact details on that. I think it's about the same time frame as Blood of the Lioness. It sounds kind of like maybe they put these into parallel processing to kind of figure it out. Maybe that's why they're both taking so long. But yeah, so that means that Celestial Realms is still scheduled for this year. Let me go pull up FFG's upcoming page and see when it's gonna pop. We haven't got any real detail. Close. Says August. That means I still have to wait until like fucking September. Hopefully we'll start, if it's actually gonna be August, we should hopefully start getting some articles soon, if that's the accurate date. Maybe get that narrowed down. Oh, and Trail of Shadows is gonna be that month too. Interesting. As usual, I will wait for the PDF. I'm really waiting on Celestial Realms for personal reasons, but hopefully we get some more news about that later. And then, yeah, we've got Fields of Victory and Rid of the Wilds upcoming. That means that at some point in the hopefully not too distant future, Edge will be announcing and be working on Scorpion and Unicorn Clan books, and then whatever else they need to do to keep up stuff. But it does sound like Edge is pretty excited to keep going with stuff. Alrighty, and to wrap up. So, on the Edge studio presentation, where they did have Sam Stewart in, they confirmed something that was also heavily hinted at in an interview a while ago, like I said, where they confirmed Rid of the Wilds for L5R, that the next Genesys source book that Edge is working on will be the Twilight Imperium, their own in-house space opera setting that also works because they've announced some new stuff for the board game Twilight Imperium. And it's a decently popular brand they have, and it'll let them do a lot of interesting stuff. Bring up some other things. So that's cool that we're working on that. That's not necessarily something that will super help me out right now with projects I'm working on. If you're interested in what I do with Genesys, do check out our other podcast, What's Up, with Omega and Lucky. I'm Omega, by the way, in case that didn't come up earlier. We talk a lot about homebrew stuff and Star Wars stuff. They are still going to be working on L5R and on potential Star Wars releases, just nothing down the line right now. I expect once those High Republic novels start actually hitting shelves that FFG, or Edge rather, still having a license, will probably want to get in on some action there. But yeah, so Twilight Imperium's upcoming, and then they talked a lot about other stuff that they want to do. Sam Stewart said that if he could pick any one setting book to do right now, he would do Sovereigns of Steam, the steampunk sample setting from the core book, which is completely original. I don't know when that would be coming, but I could see it coming maybe after TI or another book. He did say not to get excited or not to anticipate an Arkham book anytime soon. I can kind of see why. There's a lot of saturation in Cthulhu mythos role-playing in the world. Various editions of Call of Cthulhu, Trail, Dark Cthulhu, lots and lots and lots of Cthulhu games. So many of them. So many Cthulhus. And I gotta be honest, I know they talk about like horror and stuff in the core book. I would think that would take some extra dev time to make sure that really fits if you're not going for like a slightly more action pulpy kind of thing. Like you need like knowledge mythos, you need to double down on your sanity rules and stuff in your horror type genres. Probably need to work out how mythos magic is different and scarier than regular magic, that kind of stuff. But it might be interesting to see. Hopefully they do it someday just for more complete published rules. Edge did say they're going to maintain the Foundry. That's cool. And they talk about some other stuff that I don't care about. End of the World, and they've got a Midnight, which is like an OSR type thing, but whatever. I don't care about that, whatever. No offense if you do care, I just don't. I'm interested in the Genesys stuff and the L5R stuff, and maybe the Star Wars stuff if they're actually going to publish it. But that's the video. Hey, that only took about 20 minutes to record. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that and found it informative. We talked about a lot of different stuff. By the way, no news on exactly when the Edge stuff is coming out. They're working on their website. They're going to plan to have it ironed out in a couple of months. That's a little, but whatever. And they'll have new forums you can go to and be utterly annoyed by. So, Edge, that's about it for the show today. If you like this kind of stuff, go ahead and sub to us. Maybe hit notifications so we always post something, because I do like to talk about Star Wars Legion regularly. Mentioned that Clan Ren video. I also talk about L5R stuff a lot. I'll probably drop a review on Celestial Realms and the new novella when I get it. I don't know if I'm going to get the Crab Clan novel. I'm definitely going to get the more dragony one and the Poison River one. I'm interested in those. Those are going to be a while, though. I should actually check on that on Amazon. But I do that kind of review stuff, too. So go ahead and check those out if you're interested. And we'll continue to do other videos. Check out our podcast, What's Up, like I said. We talk about Genesys homebrew and just RPGs in general a lot if you're into that. And if you are following Star Wars stuff, X-Wing, Legion, RPGs, whatever, check out our actual play series we're running right now. We're on episode 30-something of the Clone Wars. I've just realized I've got a heck of a backlog I need to work on. I'll have to get to that sometime. Got a couple episodes in the can. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll let you go now. Don't forget to like this video if you like it, and if you have any comments, leave in the comment section down below. Or you can hit us up on our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page. As always, yeah. I think it's everything. I mentioned already to subscribe if you're new here, and also consider hitting that bell for notifications. The other thing to mention really quick is that, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You could have gotten access to this episode early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. All right, I am out. I'll see you next video, whatever form that takes. Goodbye.